for me, I just failed school so bad. Like if I tried personally to fail school more than I did, I couldn't have failed anymore. Like if I got the grades or the results for writing my name on a piece of paper, like like beyond F, like I'm talking Z's, like I'm talking way down, right? I tried to become an electrician, flopped so bad. I was miserable for a year. I tried to work in factories, drive a forklift, do everything I possibly can. And then I got fired one last time from a factory that I actually semi-enjoyed. I kind of was hoping that it would be my long-term thing. But one Friday evening I got brought into work and the HR team was like, I just locked myself away and just studied. I mean, like, I'm talking like borderline. My parents were going to take me to the hospital. They thought I was fucking crazy. Like I was just up, and I was up at 5 a.m. reading Think and Grow Rich, studying books, writing out my goals and my visions, and I was locked in learning how to run Facebook ads, Google ads, accurate, and it's data driven. It's not opinionated. It's data driven, and that's something that will get that. Because when you get past, like, say 50k a month or even 100k a month, all the 1% need to add up. All the 1% have to add up. Yeah. You have to get that. Some people just ignore 1%, ignore this next 1%, and before you know it, they're...
I like what you said there, that 6 to 12 week mark, knowing your customer journey. Yeah. I think especially a lot of people are guilty in the product industry. They just hope that people rebuy, but they haven't really tracked when that rebuy time is, and they don't really know their customer journey well.
Yeah, and this is a common theme of someone not driving the brand forward. Like that metric is so important, because we've had clients to say, like, yeah, we've 30-40% repeat buyer returning customer percentage. I said, that's great, but what's the journey?
Welcome back to the pod, everyone. Another episode here in Dubai, and we are joined by Adam Power. Welcome to the show, and thank you for coming, mate.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Do you want to give everyone a little bit of an introduction as to who you are and what you do? I think where your knowledge is and what your experience has given you and really taken you will be quite inspiring for a lot of people. But I think just to even give you a bit of a insight as to where I'd like to go today is to really go into the strategy of where you've gone and what you've done, rather than just the story of how you've gotten here, but some of the play makes that have really kind of made the difference for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, nearly actually 6 years ago in November, I started, I suppose, what was branded as an SMMA, social media marketing agency. That kind of branched off into becoming an e-commerce agency. We just kind of started being gravitated towards e-commerce brands working there. And I suppose I built that company over the past 6 years, and then over the past maybe 18 months, I started kind of building other divisions, which is coaching and consulting, and also investment into brands. So over the past 6 years, I've kind of built out a group that I'm currently trying to make into like one overall ecosystem, which is 3 different divisions, but it's the one overall ecosystem.
And that ecosystem being that pulling all of that e-com, all of that thing into one thing, yeah?
Yeah. Pulling everything from our knowledge of spending like close to $100 million on Facebook ads, tens of millions on Google, building scaling brands and that are clients, and, growing things as best we possibly can for people that we've worked with over the years to come into like an ecosystem to, I suppose, have a proven process of exactly what to do start to finish.
I think that's probably where you differ a lot, especially in the e-com mentoring space. A lot of people are teaching from theory. A lot of people are teaching from a position of like this should work, or it did work 10 years ago. And you have the runs on the board now to show that not only does your system work, but it's been proven, tested, and probably future-proofed, I'd assume, as well.
Yeah. So it's been 5 years before we made a penny in consulting or coaching. Or I didn't even feel qualified in myself until I've done like 5 years in, because it's just changes so quick. So like just having a consistent approach to continuously, figure out a way that it works, like this works. So the whole teaching with theory thing is not something that I'd be interested in.
What's the general market of your clientele that you work with?
For us, simply e-commerce brands that are doing 50k plus per month, that have a good margin, they have a good supply chain, they have a good finance team, they have an understanding of where they want to go. Someone is driving the brand.
Yep.
I suppose not someone who just has a side hustle that they want to cash cow, because unless someone is driving the brand forward, it's not really going to go where you need it to go. You need to be all in on a brand to get it going. So someone who is, I suppose, locked in, proven, they have a good brand, and they're willing to do what it takes to grow on their side, so that we can have a partnership together. Because like we've transitioned to become like more of a growth partner to our clients rather than an agency. So less clients doing more, provide more value, more services. So we're able to, I suppose, it does that. We've put a lot more pressure on the clients that you have to fulfill all of this side, so we can fulfill all this.
Yeah, so that would be anything from media deliverables and all of that. Yeah,
everything. Like if your conversion rate's low on your site, it's not a matter of fact of opinions, it's data driven factual information. We're showing you it's right here. We have to fix that.
Yep.
Have to figure out why is the conversion rate below average or below last month. We have to put something in place to improve that as best we possibly can.
Do you have any sort of standards across the board for the clientele that you work with of what a conversion rate should be or what a click-through rate should be?
Yeah.
Do you have any sort of like benchmarks for the people at home that they could start to aim for?
Yeah, exactly. So like it really varies per industry. So like if you have a jewelry store where it's more impulse to buy,
Yes.
a jewelry store average order value might be anywhere from $60 to $150. Then your conversion rate can be anywhere 1.5 to 2.5, and you're going to be strong to scale. Whereas if you have, for example, a much higher tier, like an old guy who sells saunas, like 8k, 10k, 12k home sauna fit outs, his conversion rate's not going to be 3%, or else he's going to be a billionaire, right?
Of course, yeah.
So different, I suppose, on industry, but we my team would very much have like, baselines per industry of where they want to be and where the client needs to be, and ensure that it gets to that level. You know what I mean?
Okay. Where does this whole story start for you? Let's reverse engineer from the beginning and then kind of catapult into where we are now.
Yeah. So bit of a, I suppose, mad ride when I look back now. Like for me, I just failed school so bad. Like if I tried personally to fail school more than I did, I couldn't have failed anymore. Like if I got the grades or the results for writing my name on a piece of paper, like like beyond F, like I'm talking Z's, like I'm talking way down, right? So, and I was only, my final year in Ireland, it's called the Leaving Cert. So my Leaving Cert year, I think that's like, I'm not sure, the final year of, I suppose, high school before you go to get your degree in college. But I was only in school like 18 or 20 days of the whole year. So I just had so little interest, and I had no direction, but I had a work ethic. So like what I realized is that I would not go to school, but I wouldn't lie around my couch and play video games all day. I would call up construction companies. I'm 16 or 17 years of age. I'll fucking work 12 hours a day. Can I come load the van? Can I come lift bricks? Can I come assist? And they'd be like, yeah, come down there and I'll give you €50 for the day. And then they'd be like, yeah, come back tomorrow. And I'd be like, €50 every day. Yeah. So when I wake up in the morning, I can go there and make €50. $50. That's like maybe $60, $70. Or I can go to school. And I'd be like, fuck school, I'm going to make $60. So I'd done that. I was basically working 9 to 5 during high school years. And then I was working, so eventually I saved up enough money to buy a really nice car, and I got a job delivering for like Chinese and pizza places at nighttime. And then I got a third job for a landscape company, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. So Friday night, all this hours. I was working 90, 80 hours a week during school. So like I'd had a lot of money coming in, I suppose, like a lot of money that I was being made at 17, right? So eventually I kind of just knew, okay, I have a work ethic. I just need to figure out now where to put that
where to direct that. Yeah.
So I developed a super strong work ethic, and then I just bounced around for 3 or 4 years. I tried to become an electrician, flopped so bad. I was miserable for a year. I tried to work in factories, drive a forklift, do everything I possibly can. And then I got fired one last time from a factory that I actually semi-enjoyed. I kind of was hoping that it would be my long-term thing. But one Friday evening I got brought into work, and the HR team was like, the determination of employment. And I was like, I can't get fired anymore, man. Came home, last paycheck, Googled how to start my own job. And Tai Lopez came up. Tai Lopez was like, I can teach you how to, you know, have your own job, be your own boss. The term entrepreneur or the term business are never entered my mind. No one in my family has ever had, like, I suppose, an entrepreneurial vision or an entrepreneurial thing. So it's never something, it's not really a mainstream thing in Ireland. So I just spent like 6 months diving into this, like, and actually read so many books. I literally reprogrammed. I physically became a different person. Like, I'm a different person from people who didn't see me for 6 to 12 months, and then they saw me again. So then I just started the Tai Lopez thing. I just locked myself away and just studied. I mean, like, I'm talking like borderline. My parents were going to take me to the hospital. They thought I was fucking crazy. Like, I was just up, and I was up at 5 a.m. reading Think and Grow Rich, studying books, writing out my goals and my visions. And I was locked in, learning how to run Facebook ads, Google ads, how to sign a client, how to do a tax return, how to do everything. So eventually got one client, got a second, got a third. And eventually, after like maybe a year, I had a full-time income from my computer, and I just kept scaling it from there. Get different ventures, ended up traveling, lived in Marbella for 2.5 years, then came to Dubai a year ago.
Okay. It's funny it's interesting that you mentioned that that unrelenting obsession almost, that I think that starts the journey for most entrepreneurs that actually become something. They build that tolerance to work ethic, because now I'm sure, like, you went through as a 17-year-old working 80, 90 hours a week. You probably also did that setting up your business as well. Yeah. And it became one of those things that is somewhat normal, especially in the infancy of that business. Yeah. Do you think that's something that's necessary for people to grow to some level of tangible success, to have started with obsession? Yeah. Obsession has to come from a pull. So your reason and your purpose has to be so strong that you're just relentless without even consciously becoming relentless. You're just relentless. So when your alarm goes off in the morning, you're like, yeah, I'm tired, but just automatically wake up and you work 12 hours. So like, you just do it. So that has to come from your purpose and a pull from a vision. So if your vision is clear, this is what I want and I'm going to work there, it's just going to be in flow, and you're going to really enjoy actually doing it, but you're going to be relentless. And it's like, I think what I noticed recently, that there's two different mindsets in like any, I suppose, maybe the online game. I'm not experienced in like starting businesses traditionally. I only know the online world. Yep. So in the online world, there's two mindsets. Number one is, oh my God, it would be amazing if this happened, or imagine if it happened, it would be great. Then there's the option two, which is, this is fucking happening. How do I make it happen? No matter what comes my way, this is the only thing I'm going to do. There's no other option. It's the only thing that's happening. And it's the latter option. Option two is what you need to have, and your relentlessness will come from that. And that's something that I really, really believe in. Do you think that's something that can be taught or learned? I don't think you can be taught, because it has to come from trauma. You have to go through a rough patch. I was going to say the trenches. Yeah, you do though. You're not wrong. You have to go through a very rough patch in order to do. So I went through, remember, I had about 6 to 12 months of just hating my life before I saw things differently. And when Bob Proctor, he's like one of my mentors. Bob Proctor would say, when you see the things differently, the things you see change. Yeah. So things change, different opportunities started coming, different networks, different people, like everything changed from, like, instead of watching some bullshit TV show for 7 episodes a night for the next 6 weeks, I would watch podcasts, and I would just see things really differently from I suppose a traumatic rough patch. Yeah, that was so I think it comes from just tough times, really. Would you agree that, like, the motivation to move forward is always far more easy to find if you're running from something versus trying to chase something that's ahead of you? You're running from pain is so much more motivating than, like, oh, there's a $1 million business ahead of me. Running from being fucking broke is far more motivating. Yeah, I think there's a study about that as well. It was like, I don't know, is it mice or rats? The cat, the smell of a cat. Yeah. So the fear, they were like 3 times more powerful from the fear rather than the inspiration. So
I suppose that's a really good point. Running from the fear, and my fear was, so when I said I was an electrician, great job, not for me whatsoever. I hated my existence. Like, I'm talking, like, I remember brushing my teeth in the morning, going to the work on the building site, and I remember one time a tear coming out of my eyes just because I had to face another day of a life that I hated.
Yeah.
And that is just a low point, man. That's just this shit life. Like, that's just a terrible time that I went through because I was just completely wrong. So I knew I have an opportunity to make something here, or else that's it. That's it
where
forever.
you are. Yeah.
There's no like, that's it. That's it, or else this whole entire, you know, life that I'm so fucking grateful for, I jump out of bed every morning for, and I love it. Like, that was something that I ran toward and ran away from the electrician thing.
Do you still operate from a position of fear at all?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, same. I don't think it ever goes.
No. Comfort is obviously comfort is a drug, but yeah, having, I suppose, fear is something that is probably good. Like, if I had no fear, I would just jump off the balcony, right? Because I know it's going to hurt. But having fear of, I suppose, a situation that you don't want to become reality is something that I really use to my advantage.
How long did that process of, you know, starting that Tai Lopez course, and how long was that turnaround before you actually saw tangible growth, or to a point that you actually said, I have a business now?
Yeah, I say around over a year anyway. Over a year. And I see people online all the time being like, oh, I made 10K a month in 3 months. But for me, it wasn't really about making 10K a month. Like, I had to change who I was. Like, I wasn't, not that I was a bad person, but I had no, I suppose, like, inspiration, motivation. Like, it never entered my mind. I used to laugh at people who read a book. If someone was a friend of mine, they read a book, I would be like, are you fucking crazy reading a book? You're losing your mind. Like, I was just that person. Like, I was just someone so for me, it was very much, I had to become a new person. I had to really, you know, remove a lot of subconscious programming that I previously had that didn't serve me, and apply subconscious programming that would. So I had to actually change who I was for the first maybe 6 months. So that wasn't for 6 months for me, I wasn't maybe seeking clients. I was just becoming a person that could actually eventually get a client. So essentially I had that 6 month period. Then after that, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months before I signed my first, and then I had a full-time income, which was like, so my last job was like 28K a year, which is euros, which is maybe $35,000 a year. So it was I probably replaced that about 7 or 8 months later. So maybe just over a year. Yeah.
What's the what's your opinion on, like, the current landscape of, like, the marketing agency industry as a whole? They seem to be popping up everywhere. They seem to be, again, as I said before, it's speaking from theory, not experience. What do you feel like the dangers are going down that road of, like, people that are looking for an agency that are only exclusively teaching from theory? Where do you feel like the pitfalls are?
So I think if you sign up with an agency that is not able to showcase results or a brand, or I say 3 things that an agency needs to get clients, which is credibility. They need to be credible, need to be able to showcase you can do what the marketing, what the company is about to pay you to do. You need to be credible, you need to be ethical. I mean, like, you're not a scammer. Like, you're not looking for a fast buck. Anyone looking for a fast buck, they just bounce around from different things and usually end up doing something that's not really a long-term thing. So ethics is the second thing. Third is consistency, that you've done it time and time again. You have a proven system that you can do. So if you're a brand and you're going to sign up with an agency that doesn't have either of those 3 things, you need to be aware enough to not to do that. Like, I wouldn't, any service-based business, I wouldn't sign up with somebody who was making me a website that I wasn't able to see. Have they made a website in the past? Are they a scam? Are they, you know, am I their first rodeo? I don't want my marketing budget to be your training. You know, so I really kind of think, like, if you're a brand, like, yes, people can be sharks and they can promise, and I've seen things like saying promising, just over promising, under delivering, but you just have to be super aware. And, like, for me, it's like the cream is rising to the top. Like, for us, we've had a record month last month. We didn't for 2 or 3 months before that, but August was a great month for us. So I think, like, anyone who is proven and does tick those 3 boxes, they will keep transitioning, and the others will just kind of, I suppose, maybe struggle a little bit.
Yep.
So it's all about just those three things plus getting the results, maintaining a relationship. But if you're a brand, just be super careful, man. Just be super careful. Like, really think this through, and do your research, man. Like, do your research. Like, if you're unaware of if someone's a shark or not, go on YouTube and find out the latest trends and what they should be doing. And if they're saying the same thing on their sales calls to you, then that's a green flag.
Yeah.
If they're saying something totally different and you have someone who's credible on YouTube, then it's probably a red flag, you know?
How did you get to that point where you could create that credibility and have ethics and show a proven track record? Like, I'm assuming you had to go through your own testing phase, your own building phase. Like, what did that look like for you?
So fear again. Yeah. So my biggest fear was like, because I'm in Ireland. I always think Ireland is like a very non-entrepreneurial place. It is now, but 6 years ago when I was starting, it wasn't really. So my biggest fear was me telling everybody I'm a businessman, or I hate the word entrepreneur, but like, even telling somebody I'm going to be a business owner, I'm going to start a business, and then coming back 6 months, 12 months later into the office or into another factory, and they're like, oh, the businessman, how's the business? Like, that would drive me insane, right? So no, I wouldn't give a fuck now these days, right? But back then I definitely cared. So I suppose it was the fear of that. And when I signed my first client, every night, so I would do all the tasks I need to do to grow the business. I would have dinner, and I would go to a local Starbucks, and I would sit there and I would write in how to run Facebook ads, how to run Google ads, how to get results for niche client or industry client. I watched every video. It became just easy for me to just turn on the laptop and smash the results for the client. Yep. So I became an A player. So then I attracted other A players to join my team. So if I never became an A player and I just hired people hoping they're good without me able to, I suppose, prove that they're good, then I would have never got very far. So I became an A player. So I was kind of a freelancer for the first like maybe 9 or 10 months, just doing everything myself. But I got so good at that I was smashing it for every client I work with, that when I was able to search for someone to come in and help, I was able to find the right person and vet them correctly and filter out people who were, I suppose, not ethical or not credible or whatever. And that's kind of how I got to the next phase.
What's your framework for hiring for people, for A players? Like, what is the framework that allows you to scale?
So how we hire, someone only asked me this like a week ago. All of our hires have been quite a unique thing. So for me, it's the story of, I don't know where the story came from, but there's a story of someone who's trying to get a new car for years, and someone comes along and said, how are you supposed to get a new car when your old beat up shitty car is in the driveway? There's no space for your new car. So the person gets rid of their banger, their old shitty car, and eventually they eventually get their new car. So I create a space for that person to come. I have the contracts ready. I have my accountancy team will have the contracts ready. They'll be ready for the role. The responsibilities will be there. Their morning check-in sheets will be there. Like, it'll all be there. And then I'll attract the person somehow. So I'll always ask my network. So I own a community with like 1,000 people in it. Yep. My last 2 or 3 hires have been from in there. Because I know if people are in there, they're listening to me and my team, that you need to be somewhat aligned. But previous to that, it's sharing on LinkedIn, it's on Instagram, it's DMing people, it's kind of different things. But I always try create the space so that the person comes to that's a best case fit scenario, really.
Yeah, and I'd assume like it's like in any industry, if you find the right people, the growth then starts to compound with that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the right people is everything, man.
Yeah,
it's everything. Like, that's just everything. Like, if you don't have the right people, hire slow, fire fast. Like, if you just don't have the right people, you're just going nowhere.
I've learned that the hard way multiple times, unfortunately. But
yeah,
for you, man, like, obviously that's on the side of the running of the agency. But what about for the clients on their side? What brings on for you? It's everything is the people, right? But what makes a good product? What makes a good e-commerce brand? What can people actually start to, not specifically what product should they go source, but what makes a brand?
So what makes a brand is I think this might sound stupid. We say we have a sixth sense to understand the client. Like we can just look at their website, look at their creative, look at who they choose to be influencer, who they choose to collab with, what kind of content are they pushing out, email flows, whatever, and we can just kind of semi ballpark guess their level of revenue, where they are, and 90% of the time we're in around 10-20% correct. So what makes a good brand is someone who's driving the brand forward. So someone who's really driving the brand forward. Like if a client comes to us and says, hey guys, what do you think about this? And we'll politely say, that's your decision. Okay, here's what we advise, but you have to decide that from your market research and your vision. We don't have your vision. We are an extensive part of your team, but we can only bring your vision to life. We can't give you a vision. So what we'll do is we will, I suppose, vet the client, understand, ask all the right questions and say, okay, where's your revenue? Where are you profiting? What's your stock? If you run out of stock today, what's the gap between what's your runtime? Are you profitable? What softwares do you have? You know, we kind of have a list of questions and go through them all one by one, and then we'll understand what can make a good brand. But it does boil down to the product as well. Like you can have the best everything and a shit product, and you're not going to have any repeat customers, which you're never going to get ahead with that. Word of mouth is still massively powerful.
It's the biggest compounding factor for any growth.
So I suppose just kind of trying to tick every box, trying to ensure that the client ticks every box, basically.
When you mentioned there softwares, are there any certain softwares that you recommend for people to start? If they, let's say they were starting from the ground up, they were trying to build into this $50,000 a month place, what kind of softwares would they need on the back end?
So what kind of softwares? They need, I suppose, I'll touch on softwares in a second, but firstly they need a creative flow. You need creative flow. So whether you're using ad creative or whether you're using a website to actually get like different variations of creative, whether you're using an agency, whether you're using a bunch of different UGC creators that you're managing yourself, whether you have an editor, you need creative flow. So you can never go stale on creative. You need that deliverable is so important today. Next, you need a tracking solution. So everything you're doing needs to be tracked. So whether you're spending money on ads, whether you're having an organic presence for your email marketing, whether your conversion rate, everything needs to be tracked. So for brands that are kind of like sub 20K a month, they can use Triple Whale. Triple Whale is a great platform that you can log in. It's around $300 per month. They'll always, if you have multiple stores, they'll do custom bespoke offerings, and they'll track everything in there from your stock levels, your COGS, your marketing efforts, your MER, your new customer acquisition cost, everything, your average order value. So if you can have everything tracked, that's a super, super important thing. Next, reviews. So if like we use Lux, we always recommend Lux to be a great review platform. Then having the Triple Whale, having the Klaviyo set up, Trustpilot along with your Klaviyo. So if your Klaviyo flows and you're sending out 2 to 3 campaigns a week that are very much, I suppose, in a proven system, then that should again bring that repeat buyers and repeat customers if you have a good product. And then having like Push Owl, for example, is notification, a push notification software that is good. There's a lot. It's a little bit bespoke, but they're I suppose the core ones that a brand would need.
There's obviously an infinite amount of add-ons and apps that you can put in on the back of the Shopify store, but like I'm familiar with Klaviyo as well. We did quite well with that, and having like proven flows with that, it's very helpful. One thing that I think might be a very interesting topic for people at the moment, given where we're moving in the next couple of months with Black Friday coming around the corner. How would you recommend people strategize in preparation for that? I think a lot of people, especially below that 50K mark, they don't prepare for the volume that comes through in such, maybe not even just Black Friday, but just sale periods. How do you prepare for that stuff?
So firstly, with sale periods, you need to stop all discounts for 60 days prior. So no, have your core good offer, but have don't be, I suppose, pushing out a lot of discounts initially before that. Next, stock heavy. You have to be stock heavy. Okay, you have to understand your numbers. You have to get a baseline of customer acquisition cost, and you have to figure out a way to get your average order value as high as it possibly can. So then you need to really go in depth on creativity in regards to your offers throughout the sale period. So you don't want to just have 30% off or 60% off like everyone else is going to have. You need to do something outside of the box. Like I see a brand last year done something amazing where they sent out an email to the database like 1 or 2 days before the main sale was going live, and they said something along the lines of, I don't know word for word, but they said, "Hey, I'm the marketing director. My boss just fired me, so I'm leaking all the codes." So they got all the codes 2 days early, and I think they done like 2.5 million that month.
That's impressive.
And I watched it, so it was super, super powerful. So having something creative there, having a build up, and doing just doing something creative. Your organic also has to be in check. You can't rely 100% on everything advertising or paid. You have to have organic presence there. You have to be pumping out reels.
Well, that's what a brand is, really. Hey, like that organic presence is going to build brand. Like paid marketing is only really going to create purchase, but that repeat purchase is coming from that brand that brand equity that builds over time.
Brand equity is everything, man. Yeah. You can have the best advertising, you can have it, but if you don't have the brand equity in place, like, you're never really going to scale. You're just buying revenue with paid advertising. That's only a short-term solution. Like, if you're just able to spend 10k and make 30k or make 40k, that's only ever going to serve you at a short-term period. You have to be able to have organic presence. You have to have repeat buyers without any marketing. You have to have organic, and you have to be building the brand there. So
I think from experience as well, like, I don't know if this is still true. It was when I was in the game with the ecom, but be prepared to spend on that week. Like, your cost of acquisition is generally going to go up because everyone's spending. And if you've got competitors that are outspending you 3-1, your shit's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like the customer acquisition cost just goes up during the periods anyway. Like impressions just go way up. Like, it's just reach will go. It's just a natural thing, but you have to be prepared for that. I kind of don't like the idea of brands depending so much on the Black Friday. Like, some brands, we literally do plan Black Friday in July. Mid-July, second half of July, we start planning. Like, we start making a document, and myself and my entire team, whenever we see an idea, live documents the client has access to, we'll put ideas in there. We put screenshots or whatever we see best performing offers in their industry. But I don't like the idea of people depending so much. People having like
just waiting for that to create cash flow.
Like, you don't want to operate at a loss for Q3. To just scale in Q4. Like, I don't quite like that idea. I like having a really strong foundation where you just scale and layer everything. And our mindset has always been a compound effect of 10% growth, 5% growth. It's just massive. It's so underrated.
That's where what really saved us was that with my background in like service, knowing that like we've not really ever marketed with the service-based business that we have. We've always done organic. But that's where I'm very similar to you. I just dove into as much education on the topic as I could, and would watch every video as much as possible. And I had fully accepted if I was ever to market the service-based business that I could accept a break even or a small loss on the front end, provided I knew that I was going to get referrals on the back end, and that customer, the cost of that customer or the profit of that customer was going to be positive 10 weeks down the line. That's where for us, although we completely sold out and had to pre-sale, we knew we had a new launch coming through early in Jan, and we essentially gave everyone early access to that launch as a secondary purchase from that Black Friday sale. And we were able to essentially pull that profit back.
And stuff like that, like having the correct system in place where you're profiting as much as you can on the first purchase, just trying to be profitable as much as you can, but then the profits will come from the repeat buying. Having a system there, proven email marketing flows, having a super strong strategy that's recouping second, third, fourth time buyers into your company.
Have you seen many proven strategies with that repeat purchase rate that are somewhat industry standard across the board, not like irrespective of product, that just generally work?
Yeah, I mean, like a common theme would be like 10% off your first order, and have your Klaviyo. You can schedule the pop-ups to only come on for the first time buyers. So like stuff like that would always be quite good. 10% off the first order. They come into the database, and you know that there's a 40 to 60% chance they'll buy again within 6 to 12 weeks. So like, yeah, that's a really good structure. I suppose, yeah, some form of incentivization for the first time customer is always good. But your back end systems and your retention based marketing should just always be on point anyway. So no matter what happens on the front end, there's always retention based sales coming in.
Like what you said there, that 6 to 12 week mark, knowing your customer journey. I think especially a lot of people are guilty in the product industry. They just hope that people rebuy, but they haven't really tracked when that rebuy time is, and they don't really know their customer journey well.
And this is a common theme of someone not driving the brand forward. Like, that metric is so important, because we've had clients to say like, yeah, we've 30-40% repeat buyer returning customer percentage. I said, that's great, but what's the journey? Like, how can we improve the journey? How can we say on average it's 4 to 6 weeks, and on average if they buy XYZ, now they're ready to buy a different product, you know what I mean? So having a system where is accurate and it's data driven, it's not opinionated, it's data driven, and that's something that will get that. Because when you get past like say 50k a month or even 100k a month, all the 1% need to add up. All the 1% have to add up. You have to get that. Some people just ignore 1%, ignore this next 1%, and before you know it, they're 10% down, and they're profiting 10%, and now they have a 7-figure brand that's break even. So how can you ignore something that's the 10%? The 1% are crucial in ecom as a whole. They're the most important thing.
Well, they're and there's so many of them, right?
Yeah, there's so many.
I mentor a couple of ecom brands, and one of the things that like we've kind of gone through is that exact conversation of like, well, can you change your box size, the size of box you have, so you can fit more boxes on a pallet, so you can fit more units per delivery? And like, okay, cool. If we change this box just by a little bit, you can fit 2% more in each box. Cool. Because now your shipping costs, because they're going to charge you per pallet, you can fit more t-shirts on that pallet.
Exactly. And all these small percentages are just so important. Not at the initial phase when you're just scaling, you all you want is new customers. But when you're at a good consistent rate, you can't just let them, you can't have the boat leaking. You have to have everything in place.
It's every one of those like 1% of plugs. That's where I feel like a lot of people don't understand it. They look at their cash flow reporting, but they don't understand that 1%, your addition it skips the cash flow reporting, goes straight to profit. That's reinvesting.
And that's your advertising money for next month, or that's your stock reinvestment money for next month. So yeah, it's the conversation we're having now. I have it every day of the week.
Is there anything that, like, if we were to put this in a position where, obviously, your goal as an agency, as a what did you call it? As an ecosystem of trying to bring people that making that $50,000 a month into that ecosystem, what are some of the things that, if let's say they're on the cusp of that, they're on that 30 to 40k, what are some of the things that you could provide to them to help them get there, so that they can start working with you?
So yeah, we have taken on brands that we can see. Like, if we see a brand that's super potential, like if we see a brand that's doing 40k a month, but they're not spending any money on Facebook, or not spending any money on Google, or they have borderline base email marketing efforts in place, we will take that on because we can see. But if a client is spending, say, 30% of their overall budget on marketing, and they're at 50k, then they're sub 50k, it's going to be a rocky road, and we don't want to be another expense to that, because they need to get the next level. So yeah, I suppose this actually happens all the time. Like, I would just be like, look, here's what you do. Give me a call in 30 days. I'll send you a Loom video after on what I recommend you should do, and I'll just record a 4 or 5 minute Loom video breaking down a strategy for them. Or I'll say, join our Discord. I'm going to drop weekly tips in there how to scale a recon brand. It's something I do all the time. And basically just say, okay, here's where you are right now. Here's what you need to do. And let's pick up again in 6 weeks or perfect. 4 weeks, or whatever the case may be. But I suppose it will be kind of bespoke I feel that they should do.
What are some of the things, like, for you that have really stood out as pivotal moments for you in your career that have really made or broken you to become the person you are now?
Really good question, man. Pivotal moments that broke me. I don't know.
Is there anything that really stands out, that where you have those moments where you look back and you're like, fuck, if it had just gone a different way,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Moving to Marbella was a really big one.
How so?
Because probably moved to Marbella, my agency was probably doing 15 to 20,000 euros a month, and I was kind of like scrambling a little bit. I think I had one team member, but then going to Marbella was something that I wasn't sure I was going to do. So again, I left Marbella 3.5 years ago, and I'm still gone. Like haven't been in Ireland. I know if I was in Ireland, I wouldn't been anywhere near where I am today. But yeah, I suppose going to Marbella opened me up to the network, the bigger thinking, seeing the luxury life, you know, having a taste of that. Because I recently only heard someone say, if you want something, you have to go see it. You have to see it. You have to taste it. You have to feel it. So yeah, me getting on that flight, which I wasn't going to get on. I flew to Marbella on a Friday and I booked the flight on a Tuesday. And I was like, will I go? Will I not go? What will I do? So eventually I went. That was definitely one thing that I knew really, really helped me get ahead.
What was the thing that made you go?
I just knew there was more, man. So, funny story. The biggest building in Ireland is called the Elysian. The Elysian is the biggest building in Ireland, and they have like luxury apartments in there. It's kind of a New York style, sticks out like a sore thumb in Ireland, right?
I'm sure it would, yeah.
But so my uncle was like doing some contract work when it was being built when I was a kid, maybe 11 or 12.
Yep.
I remember I remember looking at the building and saying to my dad, what's that? And he was like, that's going to be apartments and offices for rich people. And I was like, oh, I'm going to live there someday. So then he was like, oh yeah, you are, son, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, do you know what? I am going to fucking live in there. When I turned 18, 19, I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm going to live in there. That was my goal for maybe a year. And I moved in there like 8, 9 months, 10 months later. And the first night I was in there, I was like, this was this fucking stupid goal. I was like, what a stupid goal this was, because I've no other goals now.
Yeah.
I achieved the biggest apartment that I wanted in 10 months.
Yeah.
And now where do I go from here? So I spent like 30 days trying to like rebuild my vision board, my goals, because I kind of felt a little bit just like deflated a bit just from moving in there. Because for so long I wanted to hit 10k a month, wanted to have a specific car, and I wanted to move into this apartment.
Yep.
And when I had all that, I was just like, what the fuck do I do now? So eventually I ended up putting a villa, and I make dream boards all the time. And I do a lot of like goal visualization work. So I put a villa on a dream board, and I didn't know where it was or anything like that. And then COVID came. So I stayed for the first lockdown, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. They kept extending it. So I just packed a bag and went to the airport. I was like, where can I go? And there's a flight to Madrid. I was like, give me it. I'm going. I was like, I'm going to Madrid.
Yep.
Because I booked the flight. So I booked the flight a couple of days before, but I literally was just like, I'm going to the airport, booking a flight.
Yeah.
So I went to Madrid, and I was just like, get me the fuck out of here. I have to go somewhere else, because when I hit the goal in regards to the apartment, I was like, where do I go from here? I'm in the best apartment.
You've reached your version of the top. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I'm in the best apartment in the city where I live, and I don't know where to go from here. Like, what do I do now? So I was like, do I build a house? I actually spoke with a couple of like mortgage advisors, say like, is my next goal to build a house, or do I start working towards that? I didn't know. I was like, I need to go. I need to get out of here. And yeah, that was pretty much.
And that's where I'm assuming once you got there, that's where you start to see that like maybe you needed to hire more to be able to grow this and expand the team and so on.
Yeah, because it was just 10k a month, man, for so long.
Yeah.
I thought when I hit 10k a month, man, I was like, I thought I would have private jets. I thought I would have Lamborghinis, man. I was like, 10k a month. I was like, I'm going to be a billionaire, man, when I make 10k a month.
Yeah.
So then when I got it, I was like, whoa. This is only just the start. Like, you got to keep going, you know, because you got taxes, you got software fees, you got to pay salary. Like, it's not all that. So,
super similar back home, man, where $100,000 a year seems to be like the thing. And like most mentors in my space, at least, especially like the fitness business, are like, reach your first 100k a year. And I've always been so anti that. It's like, well, why the fuck are you setting the bar so low?
Yeah.
Like if that's granted, if you're far away from that now and you're listening, like, cool, good place to aim, but it's not it's not all that. It doesn't change your life.
Yeah. And I would imagine, like, if you speak to like Grant Cardone, who I mentioned there, if you said to him, I want to make 4 million a year, he's gonna be like, come on, you can do better than that. But like, for me, there is a journey there. But it's just like, I just thought, like, we're just conditioned, man. We're just conditioned that like that amount of money is just everything.
I can be a testament to that too. Like,
for
the last, I'd say 6 months, we've been really like my top line goal, as far as I can think ahead, we're trying to make that jump from 3 mil to 5 mil.
Yeah.
Right. And I like coming here,
Yeah.
5 mil. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
I know. And that's the same thing of me moving to Marbella.
Yeah.
I was able to see and taste and feel all that. And I'm speaking with a guy in the gym and he's like, I do 150 grand a month.
Yeah.
Because I own 20 Airbnbs, or he owns a crypto portfolio, or he's whatever. So I just was exposed.
That
to
exposure,
the next level.
that exposure therapy, man, is massive. Like,
Yeah.
I say it's a big psychology thing. Like, people that are like scared of spiders, you spend 6 days in a room with spiders, you're probably not going to be scared of spiders anymore,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Yeah.
same thing on the reverse with wealth. If you're exposed to it so much more, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people are actually scared to go, scared to find that next level.
Yeah, man, because they don't work on themselves enough. They have they just have a fear barrier. Like, there's just a fear of the unknown. And it's like, when I was back in Ireland, I wanted to stay for another month.
Mhm.
I was like, I want to stay for another month when I was there about 5 or 6 weeks ago.
Yep.
But I didn't want to stay for another month, but I semi enjoyed it, right? I didn't want to go back now, even though it was a good time to go back. But for me, I was like, it's not, even though I don't want to go back just yet, I have to go back. It's not about me. I have to go back to Dubai.
Yep.
Because I need to get back into my routine, my desk, my gym, my training. My team needs me. Like, I need to be in the headspace to get back there. I can't just be, because I was in London I kept extending my stay in London because I have a lot of clients in London. So one client would say, I'm around Friday, and I'd be flying home on Tuesday. I'd be like, I'll extend my stay, and I'd be in Airbnbs or hotels. And I was like, no, I have to go back to Dubai. And it's like, people want to have a goal, but they don't want to go do or go where it needs to be. Like, you need to jump on an airplane and go to a different place. It's not about, you're not committed to the goal. If you know, you're never, for me, I know I would have never hit the goals I have if I stayed in Ireland. It's a factual piece of information. I would have never hit the goals I wanted to hit if I stayed in Ireland, because the network, the opportunities, the stuff I needed, the dots I needed to connect were just never going to be there. And all the way, when I look back now and connect the dots how I did, it's all come from people who I've met, or mentors that I found, or books that I've been recommended, or people who I've been introduced to from Marbella, Dubai, London, all outside of where I've been. And it's like, away from your hometown, that's how you kind of, I suppose, expand your mind and what you know to date. So it kind of pisses me off a little bit when someone wants to have something, but they don't want to go see it or feel it or experience it.
Yep.
They just want to stay in the same place, do the exact same thing, and expect it's just going to come. It's never going to happen. And that annoys me sometimes.
From that, I completely agree there, man. I think like
No, sorry for
exposure
interrupting you.
therapy.
If you're in London, that can happen.
Yeah.
If you're in the likes of London, maybe Manchester, that can happen. But if you're in a farm in Australia where you have 5 miles of land and no one's there, right? It's not going to happen there. So there is cases of, if you're in LA, if you're in Miami, it can happen there.
Of course.
But
they're the
most
places they're places that are comparable to Dubai.
Yeah.
Like network, exposure, and so on is far more readily available there.
Yeah.
It's I think exposure is one of those big things that, like, for me at least, it's been a big game player for the success that I've had so far. But it's always ever growing, man. It's always like, find that next level, find that next pond.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, maybe you don't want to. No, it's hard to say you don't want to go to Dubai, right? It's amazing here, but like, there has been times where I'd rather be at home for a month. Like, I'd rather be at home watching movies with my baby brothers or my family or my child. I'd rather be at home, having an easy life but no, it's like, I'm here because I know the opportunities here.
Yeah.
And people need to go, man.
Interesting question, or at least I feel this might be a little bit of a left of field question. You started from a Tai Lopez course, right?
Yeah.
What do you feel like you wish you had been taught in that course that you could teach someone now?
Think big, just like we were saying. Very good question, man. Think big is definitely one. I only learned Think Big from Bob Proctor. So think big, I suppose. Networking is a big thing. You need to learn how to network, like how to provide value to a circle that will accept you and give you the value you need back, and how you can exchange, and how you can have people who are valuable at the other end of a phone whenever you need them. Networking's a big thing.
Is there any skill set with like actually setting up ads and setting up Facebook that you feel like just you've only learned through experience?
Yeah, so I say everything online is experience decision making, because there, you know, obviously you can be taught the strategies, you can be taught everything, but there is no one size fits all. Like there is no one size fits all. Like one client might make more sales from an image, still image, a creative that has a 20% offer across a model. Another one might be a video. Another might be UGC. So there's no one size fits all. It's all experience decision making. So I suppose Tai Lopez kind of taught very much the basics, but this was 2018, 2017, 2018. It was only the basics that existed. So yeah, good question, man. I'm not 100% sure. Bar thinking big, networking, travel could have been a good one. Travel to get out of your hometown could have been a good one. But Tai was going mainstream with it, so Tai wasn't looking to push as many controversy things. He was very much going mainstream with it. So he was kind of like going down that route. So there wasn't. He kind of did cover everything generically.
Yeah. Okay. Is there much benefit to being less mainstream, polarizing a little bit more in any market? Like,
I think in today's world, I don't want to do that, but I think people make a lot of money, man, from doing that. I just don't. If I have an opinion, I have an opinion. I'll respect it and I won't change it. But I think I see people that are blowing up, man, from doing some stupid shit, and then 6 months later they have some sort of course or webinar or brand or streaming or whatever whatever it is, or crypto or whatever the case may be. There's people have made a lot of money from it, man, but it wouldn't be my scene.
Not your brand.
Yeah.
What's I'll finish up here, man. If people are starting to look into the road of paid advertising, what would be some things that you feel like that they should tick off? Like, what's a respectable ad budget for them to start with? What's a daily spend? And where would they be best kind of putting that? Is it Google Ads or is it Facebook?
Yeah. So really depending on the space, the industry that you're in. But like I have literally seen, like before when we used to work with smaller tier clients, like I have literally seen $10 a day being spent and being snowballed to $2,500 a day of spend over 6 months. Like I've seen that. I've done that myself personally. So that can happen. So if you have a brand that's doing 12 to 15K a month and you're not spending much, get a good strategy in place that you know you can spend $10 to $20 a day and you're going to get one customer or even one customer every second day. So if you can get a customer for $20, you get one a day. Okay, and that customer is worth $75.
Yeah.
You have 3.75 times return. Do that. No, let's try get that 20 day spend over the next 72 hours. After it's been proven for 72 hours, the next 72 hours is to get it to 30 a day in spend. And the 10% growths or the 15% growths that compound, that you can spend 100 a day and then spend 120 a day. Like,
becomes predictable that way too.
Yeah. And I have literally seen that happen. And I've literally seen someone, specifically a jewelry brand, that spent $10 a day, and within 5 to 6 months we spent $2,500 a day between Facebook and Google. So this is why tracking is so important. So just start, man. Just start. Like, you don't, like, this is what I know Charlie said about me. Shout out to Charlie Johnson. He said Adam is the risk taker, or that he knows, whatever. But like, you just kind of got to jump and develop wings. Like for me, it's like, I would just rather just do it, man. You know you need to do it. Just do it. Just, make sure you can afford it, and then just do it. Yeah. Spend the money, make the money back, keep it going like that. Just keep growing your business. There is always going to be a phase when you're scaling or growing a business that you're not going to profit for a phase. Like, it's a sprint and hold. So just sprint. You might not profit on the sprint, but then you profit on the whole if your retention. And just I kind of semi feel sorry for brand owners who are starting right now, because there's so much boxes that have to be ticked. There's an ecosystem you have to build for your brand. So that's why I need to find good mentors. But like, I do think that you can get kicked off with any budget if you have a long-term vision with it,
and if you have a good enough product as well. Yeah, cool.
and a website. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Where can people find you? What have you got going on in your world? And thank you for coming on, brother.
Yeah, I'd love to say I have YouTube, but I don't, because it's something that has been on my list for weeks. I'd love to say I have a podcast as well that's been on my list for weeks. I will get there, but right now I'm probably active on Instagram and Twitter. Adam Power 96 on Instagram and Adam Power 21 on Twitter. And I have a Discord community that's in my bios that I'm active in there on an hourly basis. I'm always dropping tips and stuff in there. So yeah, I suppose that's two of the best places to catch me.
Excellent, man. Thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure to chat. Cheers.